Hey, AfterBuzzers! It's episode 5, Married at First Sight, Honeymoon Part 2. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes, no. So I am not singing this song because I don't believe in it at all. To me, it's all or nothing when it comes to Married at First Sight. We are not talking about anything
Sheila,
burning yet.
let it burn. Nate, I gotta let it burn.
No. All right, welcome AfterBuzzers to the Married at First Sight after show. It is episode 5, Honeymoon Part 2. We sure hope there's not a Part 3 because we think it's gone long enough already, but we are excited to talk about it. I'll get us started introducing myself. It's me, Heather Yerrid. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Heather Yerrid. And Usher here to I'm sorry, Desola to my left.
Sorry. This was an amazing album. You're taking me back. Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Desola Balogun. Sometimes I think I'm Usher. You can find me everywhere at Desola_B. And yeah.
Hey guys, it's Ally Nasta here. You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at Ally Girl.
And I'm Tessa Cevaal. You guys can find me on all social media at Tessa_Cevaal.
All right, wonderful. Engineer, kill the music. Kill the music.
Sorry.
All right, so let's get started with Ally's favorite topic.
No.
A squared had sex. They consummated the relationship. Woo! Now, personally, I can tell a big difference in the way that they're interacting compared to the two couples, and I do believe it is because they had sex.
I'm just gonna say they were all smiles.
100%.
Ashley literally couldn't stop smiling this whole episode, and I thought it was so cute. And I really feel like I'm watching true love unfold.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. Two people that get each other. I even thought they looked alike in the cameras. I thought when they do the diary cam and when they're in bed, I was like, wow, they kind of already look alike.
Well, that's kind of
What?
gross if they look alike.
Yeah,
they
but
might need
that's
to reevaluate and see
I don't
if
think they look alike at
that's-
all.
Okay.
Heather.
that would be weird.
And now, when couples start to like be together, it's like
That's
when
so
dudes
dumb.
look
I've
like their
heard that
dog.
before.
Yeah, but I think they already looked like each other. So
I don't
whatever.
think so.
Either way, congratulations.
I'm gonna say no on that one.
I thought it was great. They consummated. That was wonderful.
I knew it was gonna happen. She was ready for it. She said, "No, you gotta turn off the cameras."
We
Like,
can't record it.
yeah. And like I mentioned last week, I love Ashley, and I love the fact that she is so forward, but not in a like aggressively like turn off ish way,
Yep.
if that even makes sense. She's just forward in the sense of says she knows she's a lady, but she still can initiate things. Unlike, Danielle, who's like, I'm a lady, I can't do anything.
Yes.
So I really like that about her.
Yes. Now, speaking of that was a theme that I saw here. Again, Danielle and Cody. We have Danielle who, with all due respect, is obsessing over the fact that she needs a manly man. I was so tired of hearing that this
See,
episode.
that's something I'm trying to figure out. Is it editing where they keep repeating her saying the same thing over again? Because I did notice they did that with Sheila. They took what she said when they went jet skiing and like repeated that today and on this episode. So that's what I was trying to figure out with Danielle, because it does seem like we keep hearing repetitiveness through her, and I'm trying to figure out what
It wasn't editing because she was wearing a lot of different outfits when she said it. I noticed that because
true.
I was thinking about it too. She said it ziplining. She said it at the dinner. She said it earlier in the day, and she was wearing different outfits in every
I think she's just so
interview.
adamant on it.
Yeah.
But my thing is I almost think it's more of an age thing.
Oh, you think the age is coming up, which is why she's saying the manly. Tell us more.
Well, I just think because he's younger, and I think he just is still figuring out. Like, I just think she has more experience dating and being in relationships, in my opinion, than Cody does, because it sounds like Cody's never really, like, been in love, hasn't dated a lot. I think that plays a huge factor into it. Maybe age wasn't the best word, but maybe more experience, because I just feel like she just, like, knows what she wants because she's had it before. And I think Cody thinks he knows what he wants, but he's never really had anything that he has wanted.
Sure, I could totally see that. My whole thing is, though, when you're entering into Married at First Sight, and you're getting married, the judgment was so heavy. It was so heavy. And again, I'm going to stick to season 5. It's just difficult when you're judging and you're not really accepting what's in front of you, and that was a key theme. Bringing it back to the initiating.
I agree.
Yeah, initiating. I think we have two people that are not going to initiate. I personally think that in her past relationships, she was the initiator, which is why she knows what she wants, and so it's being stressed right now that she doesn't want to, but which is causing the relationship to come to a head. she needs, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say there are two things that I noticed. First thing is just in the overall situation, she's pushing Cody to be something that he's not, which is not gonna end up well because he, like he said, he's not being himself.
Yep.
So, and I wrote that down before I even saw him say that. I was saying it's a big issue because he's pushing her. I mean, she's pushing him to be the manly man, and yeah, he's gonna do that in the beginning. But once you get home and the cameras are gone and you get comfortable, he's going to be Cody, you know? And I don't think that is fair for her. And I also feel like Sheila's doing the same to Nate. I don't feel like it's fair for them to push them to be totally different people. You know, it just shows that maybe they really are not compatible because when you're, you know, when you're dating someone, you figure out the things you like and what you don't like about them. And you're like, okay, yeah, I want a manly man. This is not going to work. Or because that's just who he is.
Yeah.
He's not going to change that. And if he does change, it's going to be fake and forced. Second thing I was going to say is, when she mentioned Danielle, she feels like Danielle was the initiator before. I caught something. When they went out to dinner, Danielle said, oh, I'm getting all dolled up and dressed up like a girl or whatever to go out to dinner. I typically don't do things like that. This is different for me. So when she said that, I was thinking, okay, well, it kind of makes sense of what you said, because if she's not used to doing that, then that makes me think that maybe she's not used to being even that role in the relationship.
I don't think she is either. And I think because of the labels of marriage, which is a tendency of a lot of individuals, that goes into that old-fashioned mindset of conditioning of who should be who. Now, again, we all know I believe in roles 110%, but you cannot reverse who you are. You're either the masculine or the feminine energy, and here I feel like we're seeing a huge shift in dynamic, which again is causing them to be stagnant. I don't think, however, Sheila's trying to make Nate something that he's not. I think she's openly expressing, you are very high energy. I will participate. I will play ping pong. But let's talk about that. His competitiveness with his wife on the honeymoon. I was very surprised. He was spitting, being very much like, don't come at me, like very aggressive. Did you guys see that or no?
It kind of freaked me out. He was like sweating, like full on sweating playing ping pong. I was like, what is going on? Like that would kind of like throw me off too. Because that's a game where you're not supposed to be like heavily invested emotionally.
At least playing with your wife, you know, or even your best friend.
Like,
but there is competitive
lot.
ping pong, but not at your honeymoon.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally understanding how she was feeling, because she got to a point where she's like, okay, maybe I should just let him win to like kind of get us out of the situation. But I will say, I want to give Nate some credit, because I also want to know, like, were we seeing a little too much of it, like, I don't know, the way that they were making the angles, like, I don't know, but
You mean editing? Like, was editing
I don't
contributing
know,
to
I
this?
just felt like
It didn't seem like it was that bad.
It was kind of like a jarring watching, because you're like a little uncomfortable. So I just felt bad for Sheila in that situation.
How could you feel bad for Sheila at all in this whole show?
Whoa, tell us more.
I just feel like, honestly, when I watch the show, from what I'm seeing, it just seems like she's like the villain. But it's not editing, because it's everything that she is saying. You know, and to me, what's that face?
This is
I'm
great.
trying to, like,
keep
I
going,
mean, no,
keep
because
going,
think
keep
about
going,
it.
keep
Well,
going,
oh no,
keep
I
going.
thought she made a face like, really? Yeah. Well, the only reason why I'm saying is because she's like, talking about being judgmental. She's extremely judgmental when it comes to Nate.
She is.
She's
judgmental about his energy.
every episode. She's annoyed with him. She does not like him. It's obvious. She does not like him. Like, she's annoyed with him every episode. Everything that they do. They have not gone out one time without her being irritated with him. Not once.
But that's also something that I've been thinking about, how they're all feeling with Danielle and Cody and with Nate and Sheila, and that uncomfortability of being like, you tend to harp on something, like when you don't like somebody or something, and they're kind of in this situation where they technically don't have an out, right? You know, like they've got 6 weeks with this person to figure out if it's gonna work. So I've been thinking, like, that's gotta feel extremely scary and like almost like you're trapped. And so I think that may be why they're both kind of like harping on certain things, because they're just like, oh my gosh, if they're not this, are they ever gonna be? So like, maybe if they take time to step out of their thoughts, like maybe it'll be a little bit more helpful. But I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like, I think in this situation, because it is so different than anything, I just can imagine if you go on a first date and you're not liking the person, and you got like they do one thing that kind of ticks you off, and you're like, and you check out. So like, I feel like they're easily, both couples are trying to make it happen and trying to make it work. But I think that's why we're seeing them harp on like with Sheila with the what do you say she was
energy. It's always about like his energy and he's being intense. But the ping pong thing, I hear what you're saying. That was really, Ally, that was very insightful. I told you, that was amazing. No, I mean, it's true. I think that it is that, I'm not going to say claustrophobic or trapped feeling, but because they are married, it's almost like they want this to be going so well that they're trying hard. I see that. But Desola, I never thought about Sheila kind of being that role, but I guess I wrote down at the end when I watched her on the horse, I was like, in my head, I was like, snap out of it. Like, I have a hard time with that too in relationships. Like, if I'm upset in that moment, for me to snap out of it, and like, if I have to be the one to take the conscious effort, which I don't like to do sometimes, it's really hard. Like, it's hard to be like, okay, don't ruin the moment. You only have an hour. You only have it's so hard. So I was like, come on, Sheila. But like, I don't think it was good that Nate automatically said, I don't think I can do this. I'm paraphrasing, but already we're at the honeymoon. We didn't even see that last season 4. They at least liked each other in season 4 through the honeymoons.
I don't know. I just feel like when I feel like if we look back on if we look back at our previous episodes, right? Yeah. Every episode Sheila has said like she's annoyed with Nate, but it's not. There's a difference with Sheila and Danielle are different. Danielle is like trying, and Danielle is not being rude to him. Sheila is being rude to Nate, like me, all the time. Like, she's being very rude to him. So I feel like the way when she gets mad at him, I feel like there's a way you talk to someone who you're just like your friend who you really don't like and they're just annoying you. When you're like, really, you're getting on my nerves, get away from me. In a way that you talk to someone who you're married to, dating or whatever, you still need to be nice about it. She's very ruthless, very rude. But then once Nate said something to her, she was like, "Oh my God!" Like the world was over. But she's been rude to him every episode.
Wow,
I completely agree because I feel like Sheila continues to say how she like she would forgive him for anything, da 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 da. But yet she's like slaying into him. I don't like that. Like I just don't think she's trying. She's just being so judgmental.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say I will say there are moments too with Nate, which we kind of we've gone back and forth with how we feel. Like what we've seen so far is he's actually done a conscious effort to, besides the ping pong situation, which that was just kind of not really sure where that happened. But every time they've had a conversation, he does listen.
Yes,
really well.
Yeah, he listens and he tries to just be like he made, and I actually in my head when I was watching, I was like, okay, he's got to apologize for what he said, and he did. He apologized, and that's a huge thing. Because like obviously you can be like, all right, I'll forgive you. Like at least you're apologizing. But at the time you're like, he's probably not going to apologize. So like the fact that he did was like a huge step in my eyes.
And he acknowledged what he did.
Yeah,
that was big. So at least if he is doing it, the competitive thing, I think he's just got some insecurities. But
maybe he's just competitive. I mean, sometimes people are competitive.
No, he is competitive, but he's got to have insecurities with women because I did see that something came up, like he not holding the hand, like that she wouldn't hold his hand. That really made him feel rejected.
He said, exactly.
Yeah, but like I don't know, holding a hand.
I mean, she rejected him, and so in general, being rejected is a bad feeling, right?
Yeah.
But then
like
Nate's thinking, but it's not. That's not a typical reaction for people. But and then Nate's probably thinking, oh well, I'm also on TV right now. So everyone at home's gonna see this, and everyone's gonna see, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just.
Heather's like, oh,
Heather said, I'm always rejected. What do you mean?
I'm always rejected. I'm always getting rejected. So to me, I'm just like, okay, I'm rejected.
Okay, well, since you brought that up, do you like pursue people and they reject you or something? Or what do you?
No,
mean?
I definitely don't pursue. I am not the initiator.
No.
If people like come after me, I'm like, get away.
I could see her as the one like at the bar, like staring at the guy, like. But not saying anything, but just sitting there with the martini with the olive, like.
That's your ass. I'm not giving the sex eyes. But I'm not the one sitting there like giving the eyes like that. Not at all. I'm more so the one that's like sitting here like, oh my God, I hope no one comes up and talks to me. And then if they do,
but
I'm very
hoping
much like
that
this.
someone
like,
really does talk.
No,
just for the
no. And when they do come up, I'm very much like.
But why?
I actually wear like an engagement ring out too.
Why?
Because dating is like it's a waste of time these days.
Yeah.
That's why I want to be on Married at First Sight. I just want to get in there, get it
that
done.
That would be so
committed.
interesting. I really want you to apply.
All right, I'll talk to the in charge.
Talk to some people. I mean, that would be really interesting.
We have Nick in the chat, and he says, I think Nate was being light and playful. It turns south real fast. Apologizing is hard, but comes easy to him. I admire that quality, which is true.
Yes.
like, apologizing in such an uncomfortable situation is so hard.
Oh my God,
So
yes.
the fact that he's able to do that constantly, like, we've seen that consistent.
Yes, he has done it consistently. That's great.
That is the
Yeah.
point. I was gonna say, the fact that he's had to apologize so much, is that not a red flag to any of you?
I mean, it depends. Not really. No, but because sometimes not really, because again, you have the if someone feels some type of way, you don't have a choice whether or not to like agree or disagree with that. You just have to accept it and then make moves from it. He's doing that confidently.
But the point is, it's been 4 days and he has apologized how many times?
I don't remember. I didn't count.
But
I
that's
also
the
feel like
point.
he's in all these situations where Sheila wants him to apologize for things that I don't really think he did wrong.
Exactly. That's
Ooh,
the.
this is great.
You know what? At the end of the day, some people just are not compatible.
Yeah.
I don't think they're compatible.
No.
Same with Danielle and Cody, because the women are trying to make the guys be something that they're not. There's a difference when if Sheila was like, oh man, Nate smacks really loud when he eats. He chews really loud. That's really annoying. And she says something to him about it. Like, can you tweak that? But she's asking him to change his entire personality. Same with Danielle.
Yeah,
you
but
know
I'm
what
not,
I mean?
No, I'm not hearing either. I'm not hearing either woman say, at least to their faces, you need to change. I'm hearing them say to the camera that there's things that they don't like. But Danielle, in no way, shape, or form, is telling him necessarily to be manly. He already knows that because clearly the experts have expressed that to him. But she's not saying, hey, hurry up on that zip line there. You're not manly enough jumping down. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, but when you can say things in a very condescending way to make people feel that way, like when they were on the zip line, she's like, oh, you're scared. What are you afraid of? You know what I mean? Like, you can say things that say what you want to say without you actually saying it.
I think she was saying that and genuinely like, oh, like,
Me
I
too.
didn't realize you were scared of
Oh,
that.
Yes.
stop.
And then
do
I
too.
think
I do
that
too.
no, because I think that when he said, like he was screaming like, oh, like I'm nervous. I think it was more like he was trying to just like be cute in a way,
Yeah.
and then she was like, oh, like what are you? Like it was like,
what are you? She's getting curious.
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I didn't think that it was like a dig at all.
I didn't either.
What I want to say really quick though is that something I did notice from the experts is that they've harped on one thing for each of those couples. Like they keep harping on the fact that Nate and Sheila like they have their faith, and that Danielle and Cody are both into fitness. And it was like, it kind of was like they kept talking about it, and I'm like, that can't be the only reason that you match them up. Like,
I hope not. I hope to God it wasn't.
Well, with Nate and Sheila too, they keep harping on their faith, but I haven't seen them really talk about
I
their
was
faith.
just thinking that.
they haven't talked about
At
faith
all.
at all.
Yeah.
No.
Like maybe for a brief moment at their wedding.
Yeah, but
I
I
think
guess
that's-
on the honeymoon, are they going to talk about that though?
Well, the thing about the faith, I understand that one. I understand, like, okay, they're like, because that is a big thing for a lot of couples. But the gym, like having similar, like, that to me, that I don't like. What does that?
Well, I guess maybe that was more so. I was asking a question, like if they had that in common, like. Okay, they have that in common.
No, I get
but
what
like,
it makes no sense.
Yeah,
Like,
like
who cares?
what else? And so I think I was just trying to I was watching more to see like maybe what they did have in common. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but going back to Danielle and Cody, when they were sitting on the couch, and I think it was like when they got off of that boat because they were wearing those like blue shirts or whatever. It seemed like it was like forced conversation. Like it wasn't one of the times where they were like, it was like one of the times where it seemed like they were like, okay, sit here, let's have a conversation. Like, let's talk about how we're feeling, but like not, I don't know.
I didn't notice that. I wasn't sure. I just don't know if you were talking about after the honeymoon or in the beginning.
It was in the beginning of the episode.
They were sitting on the
Sorry,
couch.
I've jumped around.
No, that's okay. We're all jumping around. It's all good.
They were sitting on the couch and he was like awkward about it, saying like, "Oh, you want to kiss me?"
I think they just have awkward energy. I think because neither of
Really?
them are initiating it right now, they do seem a little bit like awkward. And I
He's
get
nervous.
focusing on that negative stuff, but that's okay. I think he's adorable. I love the fact that he doesn't necessarily know what love is yet. That means that he's like, he can be molded and he can on the fly know himself and figure out what he wants to have. And I love that. I think it's great. I also think obviously with A Squared, we see them have some immediate conversations about super serious stuff, i.e. children.
Love them.
So they're already talking about the kids. I was going to talk about when they go sailing and all that stuff, but let's just jump right into the hardcore stuff. So they're already talking, they're already talking about kids. We didn't see that till like halfway through the season last year. And on the honeymoon, we are having conversations about children. Do you think that is a good idea?
Yes, they're married.
Tell us more.
I think that in this situation, yes, it's weird. Like, we've already acknowledged the fact that, like, all of them are put into these really strange situations and they're making it work. For them, it seems like they've just had an immediate connection and they're just trying to get to know each other. So I feel like it's just kind of part of the conversation. Like, I think they're just like, hey, like, do you want to have kids? And that's kind of how it was. It was, like, fun. Like, I'm intrigued because, and I think that's something that we clearly found out is huge to Ashley because it wasn't something that was in her last relationship. So I don't think it's like, and you shouldn't talk about it. I think it's something that they are clearly totally into understand, like, I don't know, I feel like they're just totally like, I don't even care, let's just go for it, let's ask the questions, and it's like they're not holding back. There's no holding back. No, they're not, and I think that's what's really exciting about it. So.
Yeah, I do too. I love that.
I think she did scare him a little bit at the end.
Yes.
Because he did say like, okay, it's been like a couple months, but he
4 days,
did say
5
that.
days, yeah. 5 days, yeah. It's been 5 days. That's what I was
curious. He said 2
curious
months
if you guys
in, and
thought
I did notice that, which was weird.
Yeah.
Have they known each other 2 months?
But I feel like 90% of that conversation was very easy.
Yes.
Like, it was just like the last 10% of it
They're
that
great.
was hard.
Yeah.
But I think because it was so easy, it felt really just natural to them.
Yeah, I believe they are very clear on what they want. Like they, but that is the difference again in this dynamic. It's compromise is evident. She did the activities in the beginning, then he chilled with her and did what she wanted after. It was easy, it was simple. I think it was important that she kind of gave in first. I don't know why, but I think that also has something to do with it because I do feel like the other two women are not. They're kind of going like, I want to do it this way, and the guys are following, kind of how you mentioned. But their dynamic is wonderful. What I thought was interesting is they did pillow. So last season they had pillow talk right before bed, where they had to ask each other questions and say like, commitment means to me, or you are my husband, or you are my wife. They did that during the day this time with A Squared. They had their pillow talk on the beach. I thought that was a good idea because what happens if you get upset with each other before bed? Then you don't want to go to sleep angry. Like I thought that the way that they're setting this up is much better for sure.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
But we definitely saw that last season, and it was uncomfortable.
Ally, I love the energy with this season, and you're so passionate about the differences too. But we'll keep that light because we had some people that viewed the episode a couple weeks ago that wanted us to lay low on the season 4 talk, so that's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's fine. But with A Squared, 2 things that I thought were very amazing. One, the fact that they already are talking baby talk. Have you guys noticed that? That's what they're doing every episode is they're talking like babies.
Oh,
to each
like
other.
baby.
Yes,
and-
I thought that was so
Like,
cute.
I like to look into your eyes. Your
Yes.
eyes sparkle
Oh,
when you
he
look at
said.
me.
Okay. She said, "Why do you think that we were matched?" I was matched with you to protect you. That's what Anthony said.
Yeah.
I was like, and all of the women again.
Not me. I
Yeah,
didn't
you
mind.
did. Yes, you did.
Heather, you so
They all
did.
fell for it.
We did.
But I will say this: unlike Nate, Anthony, I actually believe you.
Aw.
I believed him a little bit because they just
work.
there's just something about them. I just really like them.
He had the dream. He had the dream. And
Watch them be the ones like
Hey,
not
the
to work
flashlight.
out
Oh
and
no!
everyone else does.
Oh no! They're gonna.
Can you
make it.
imagine?
They're gonna
No.
make
I
it.
would
They're
cry.
totally gonna make it.
I just, like I said before, I feel like I'm watching true love unfold, and it's really exciting to watch. Like, it literally makes me excited because you just see the love that they already have, and they don't even know they have it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I just think it's so much fun to watch. And he pulls her chairs out for her
my
before
God, I
she
love
sits
it.
out
I
for
didn't
dinner.
notice
that. I love it.
It was so cute.
He's such a gentleman. You can tell he was really raised by both. You can tell that they were both raised by good families and have very clear, again, understandings of like what it is to contribute and be a husband and wife. That's something I didn't like that Sheila said. That she said, Nate has a very, I'm paraphrasing, has a very like idea in his head of what marriage was, but he never saw his parents have it. That to me
That was a low blow.
Yeah, I didn't like
100%.
that.
I caught that.
Yeah,
Did
that
you catch
really
that?
offended me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really did not like
I
that.
felt
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and I was really shocked in that moment.
And that's another point of what I'm saying. You don't talk like. I feel like Sheila is acting like he's a guy that she just hates, and that a guy like that person who always pursues you, and you're just like, oh please, like get out of my face, kind of thing.
Oh.
She's acting like he's just that one guy. You know what I mean? Instead of like, wait, I know we're on the show, and I know we just met, but we got married, so I kind of have to stay married to you maybe for a while. So I probably shouldn't be saying all of this stuff to you because I'm sure he's offended by some of the things that she's saying about him watching this.
Yeah, if he knows it though, because a lot of these things they're not around each other.
No, but
when
I'm saying
they're
watching
recording
it now.
that. Oh yeah, I bet. So.
Because I mean, she's being very rude about the things that she's saying. Like, why would you say that?
Yeah, that
Like-
was that really did get to me.
Well,
too.
and I just feel like they have such different outlooks on what a relationship should be like, which I think is just a huge problem. Like, she's like, relationships are hard, and he's like, I want this to be like a fantasy, and I'm like, well, that's not going to happen if you guys don't see the same thing.
Well, and let's get into that. Pastor Cal, we have a lot of Pastor Cal advice here, and one of the things that he said about Sheila and Nate was, I don't want any of the couples to be pushing things under the rug so they can smolder, right? I don't want you to push it. He wants them to face it. He wants them to get real and talk about it. Do you guys think that these conversations, awkward or not, that are happening between at least two of the couples, do you think that is something that they were prepped on before, or that are just naturally happening because they're being coached to talk about it, or what? Because we are having a lot of intense conversations. Because to me, by the end of the honeymoon, I was like, the fact that we're already at like, oh, I'm gonna back off a little bit. The fact that both men, they want to pull back. Nate was gonna pull back, and Cody was talking about pulling back. And I was like, what is this? Is this with that advice of not letting things like pushing them under the rug? Like, do you think that is a good idea, a bad idea? Talking about it right then, or waiting since they're on the honeymoon for the moment? What do you think?
No, it's good to talk about it right then, because
Yeah.
you don't want to be on the honeymoon for a week and then go home and say, yeah, you know what, Nate, we had a really good time, but I really hated what you did the first day of the honeymoon, which was 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
So I think it's good that they are bringing it up, and it's really showing who they really are. Like, I will say one thing about this show. I believe everything. I don't think any of it is like scripted or whatnot. Even if it is, I don't know. But like with Sheila, no, I don't believe any of it is scripted. Like, that attitude she has, that's her. That's her.
I mean, they are no holds barred with what they're saying.
I'm like, I believe it.
Yeah, I think the producers are asking different questions this season to get those answers,
course.
because that is why I feel like we're hearing the repetition.
Right.
That's why with Danielle, I'm like, there's got to be, Danielle's a dietitian. Being a coach, coming from that like similar wellness industry, I know there's no way this woman can be focusing that much on being manly. She's also spiritual, which everyone like in that world knows that there's different energies. There's masculine and feminine. They have to be being led in some way, shape, or form, because we're hearing the same stuff over and over and over, which kind of makes me think this. I'm going to go against all of you in this light and say, I think that Danielle and Cody and Nate and Sheila actually really like each other. And they're getting along just as well as A squared, but the content they have right now might not be as like easy.
Yeah.
But because they care so much about each other, that is why they're arguing. Or that's why they're kind of butting heads. I think because they really care and they want to, and they like each other, to be honest.
I agree. I actually was going to say something earlier too about how I think that it's good that they're having this awkwardness now, but it's not like they're having awkwardness and it's just like, I'm feeling really awkward. I don't want to say anything. Like, they're like, hey, like Cody outright said, hey, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. I don't know why, but I just want to let you know I'm pulling back a little bit. And I think once they go home and he gets into his normal routine, then it's going to work out. I think that both of these couples too are just really overwhelmed with what had just happened. And so they're treating it differently than A squared, because that's just how they're dealing with these emotions.
Fair.
And I think the longer that they sit this out with they're gonna realize, like, oh my gosh, remember on the honeymoon when you like were so awkward and you like, you know what I mean, and you would barely, you know what I mean, do the things that they didn't want. So I think it's gonna be a slow progression, but I think we're gonna eventually see what we want from all of them.
Yes.
I believe that. I believe that with everyone but Sheila and Nate.
Wow.
I really know, because it's just not right. It's not. Think about they keep saying 4 days. That amount of confrontation in 4 days. Everyone knows when you first start dating someone or anything. I understand that there's cameras and everything. That makes a huge difference. But you're typically happy, and like that's more of the honeymoon phase where you're like, oh my gosh.
But this is also so different than just going on a date.
I get it, but what
I'm
I'm saying is, the attitude is like unbearable.
But
Who
I
would
also
want to deal with Sheila's attitude? Be real.
But
like,
I also know that she's mentioned a couple times about how overwhelmed she
yeah,
is.
but you don't treat it as I don't like when people use that as excuses.
Right.
People
What,
always
being
use like, oh,
overwhelmed?
I'm overwhelmed, or this is
Yeah.
that. That's why I was acting that way.
yeah, no,
that's who you really are. That's how you act.
She totally shouldn't be treating Nate in any sort of way.
Like, it's not an
but
excuse.
I think that this breakdown that we're seeing, that's kind of leading us on that ledge of. No, I understand where you're coming from.
Sorry, I'm
That's
not trying to
fair.
cut you off. I'm just saying
No.
it's not. Keep going.
No, I understand what
Sorry.
you're saying. You're totally just trying to rationalize. Like, that's not fair. Just because you're in a bad mood you shouldn't be putting that on someone else. I totally understand that. That's not fair. Like, if you're...
And he's going through the same. She's acting like he's not in the same situation as she's in. Like, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed. You don't get it. Well, I do get it because I married you too, and I'm dealing with your personality, so I get it. You know what I mean? But
I'm curious about this. I did not understand this, and I'm just openly owning this. I was like, I wrote down the words fighting. She's waking up every morning and fighting to feel normal.
Yeah.
I was so confused. What did that mean? Like, what did anyone? Like,
I heard that. I get it.
I didn't get it.
Normal. There's cameras in front of you every day. You're with a strange man you never met.
I feel like
in the
I
same
would be fine
bed.
with cameras. Like, I don't know. What
I think
Well, we choose this. I mean, they chose it too, but you know what I
Right.
mean. Like
No, yeah. I'd be like,
we like the cameras, obviously.
Okay, so that's what that means. Because I was like, what is that? Fighting to feel normal. I was
But
so
I
confused.
also feel like it goes a little deeper.
Tell us more.
Because I think she's a little broken just from the way she described her last relationships. It sounds like she's never had someone really love her before, which isn't unnormal, I guess. But it also sounds like she just really, like, I don't know, I just sense something deeper is going on. And I think that is also a huge problem as to why her and Nate aren't meshing super well.
I mean, so I actually love that Sheila, I want to give kudos to two of the women real quick. So I want to give kudos, going to be cut back to Ashley, for the fact that she left the man that she was with for 5 years and was just like, look, if you're not going to marry me after 5 years and you're 6 years older than me, I'm out. Most women will stay and stay and stay because the man's not going to break up because he doesn't want to feel guilty, and the woman's like, oh, I need to have babies. So I love that she did. Seriously, I'm just shooting you guys straight. So Ashley, kudos to you. Sheila, same thing. I loved what Sheila said. Like, I felt that in that moment I was like, and you're right, it is deep rooted, but that is society today. She has spent her 20s trying to convince men that she was worth it, that, hey, you want marriage, you want a commitment. And she's like, I'm not doing it anymore. I totally get that. And the fact that she started crying and was like, this made me realize the way that he received her, even though he's apologizing, which is making me a little bit confused, so it's got to be editing. The way that he received her, she's like, it made me realize I've never had someone do that for me, meaning she's never had someone acknowledge her worth and her feelings. Like, the men she dated, she's had to beg them to, like, give her that, like, you're worth it, or you're good enough for me. And so I was very moved by that. I thought that was, like, on point, deep rooted or not, but I still see him apologizing, so I was a little bit confused. But I thought that was great, Sheila. Love that.
You know what, Sheila? I just feel like I understand, but I really feel like we have to. We have to remember that these are these people's personalities, and sometimes it can be you. So the fact that she's saying she spent her 20s convincing guys that she's worth it. I mean, I'm not saying she could have been with some bad guys, yes, but she's convincing guys that she's worth it. First of all, you shouldn't have to convince anyone that you're worth it, right?
But it happens.
So,
but it happens in relationships.
But I'm just saying. So, but she said she spent her 20s. That's 10 years. That's a lot. 10 years convincing guys that she's worth it. But at the same time, when we see her personality and how she acts, okay, and if she's acting like that with Nate, who she met in 4 days prior, imagine what she would act like with a boyfriend that she's known for however long. You know what I mean? So you really have to look at that and think about it. Like, her personality is not inviting. If she gets mad, she's very rude. She's very standoffish. So that's not someone that many people would probably want to deal with. And I'm just saying it in the looking at, it's only been 4 days and she's acting like this. Imagine what she'd act like in a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just feel like that's a huge part of it. And then I don't like that she said, like she was telling Nate, you just don't get it, or you don't get me. But Nate is trying so hard to get her, and she's pushing him away the entire time. So it all looks like it's her fault. Why it's happening? So
I can't wait to hear what people. I cannot wait to hear what viewers think after the show. I'm so intrigued.
Nancy Coffin in the chat just said Sheila has implied on Twitter that the editing is putting her in a bad light.
They can't edit that together. What she said.
I don't know, because I did see like they talked about how so much she was like scared or whatever on the jet ski, and I was looking on Twitter, and I think it was either her or Nate posted pictures where she was in the driver's seat. So like there's something we're not seeing as well.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, she is having fun. They probably just aren't and putting in light. Like, of course, like, they need, if there's gonna be two couples that are like automatically like showing all the happiness and they're having like, if there's three couples with happiness and like having such a joyous time, like it sucks, but they are gonna find some way to twist the story. And I'm not saying like, I just feel like the way like Sheila's like, she's probably an amazing person and that has like that's having fun, but like maybe we're not seeing that.
Yeah, the dynamics are so different. They're definitely
That's
playing.
fair.
The editing is definitely playing off of like their roles, and we already know in reality shows there's always a role. There's going to be a bitch. There's going to be someone who's quiet. There's going to be the outgoing one. There's going to be the player.
But you know
all of
what?
those
You
things.
but in order to be the bitch, you have to say bitchy things and act a certain
a certain
way.
amount of time,
But
yes.
because
I
look,
agree.
if you
I
don't
agree.
if you don't give them that, they can't use it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we have to really look at it. If she does not give them the attitude and as there was many times that she gave it to them in those 4 days, right? The fact that we saw like 5 scenes of her having attitude, that's a lot. Okay, so. No, there was a lot. There was a lot. I'm just saying, and I have nothing against Sheila. I don't even know her, obviously.
course,
I don't know,
no.
like
This
so
is-
it's not
this is a show.
personal.
This is an after
It's
show.
just
You're giving
me
an
watching the
objective.
show.
Absolutely.
I'm saying you can talk all you want about the editing, but when you're having instances where you're acting a certain way 24 all the time, they can't edit that together. I'm sorry. They can edit the jet ski, but not the conversation she's had and the confessionals when you say what you're saying. They can't edit that. Sorry.
I think she's had a hard time snapping out of it. I think she was so like the whole thing. What they caught is her not being able to snap out of it. A big part of it too. But I hear what you're saying in regards to her being very much more let's have fun and let's get serious. Like she wants to kind of be more serious, get to know each other, and he wants to have fun, which I do think the honeymoons are for having fun. I just love to hear that you're siding with Nate. I know that was a big
I know
thing.
it's
I
weird.
was just so excited.
Yeah, Nate, I will say, you're winning me over because he said this. It was great. This actually warmed my heart. Honestly, it did.
Wow.
Yes, Nate.
I'm excited for
was it?
this.
What
He said, "I want to treat Sheila how I would have wanted a guy to treat my mom." I heard
Yeah.
that,
I
and,
wrote
and
that
I
down
thought
too.
about my mom,
I
and
wrote
I was
that
like,
down
"Oh
too.
man, that was nice."
I wrote that
Yeah.
down
And I
too.
really believed that when he said that.
Yeah, I wrote that down too, and that's what hurt me about the comment of him not knowing, because like I never saw parents that were married, but like because I never saw parents that were married, like I know how to treat somebody in a relationship. Like, I
Right.
know exactly what I'm gonna do. I know what I do wrong, and I know exactly how I want to display that myself. Same thing goes for like being a parent. Like it's like when you didn't necessarily have the greatest childhood, you know, like, okay, I'm going to make sure that my kids have this. So
Right.
he's really, I do think he's committed. I just think that
Yeah.
he's very like ego driven, and he is very proud. And I think his mother raised him that way. I mean, look, am I still the queen? Like the fact, going back to that, when she said that, you know, that's a woman who raised her son, like that's my son, you know? So of course he's like, I'm a competitive person, all of these things. So I think that's great that he did that.
I did love that.
Yeah.
It
That
was
was
so
nice.
great.
Yeah.
I was like,
It
Yeah,
warmed
Nate.
my heart.
Yeah.
I wrote it down too.
You won us all over with that, Nate.
Yeah.
You really did. No, that was because
yeah,
it
you
was.
actually, you were into it too. It wasn't just
No,
us this
yeah,
time.
no. He's been the first episode. I will say, you know, the things that you were saying were a little. We know it wasn't real. It's okay. You just matter, but it's fine because episode by episode he's been winning me over because he's been more real. You know, obviously the first episode that was, you know, you're nervous, whatever, you say things, but it's okay because you're winning me over. One last thing I will say about the couple, Nate and Sheila, they remind me of, and we all know this couple.
Who?
You guys know the couple who break up every other week because they have these crazy arguments all the time, and they just like they're that couple 100%. If they were not married, they'd be the couple who would like break up every other week because someone's too sensitive or someone did something, i.e. someone Sheila. And they're that couple. We all don't know the couple.
I mean, we know the couple, but I don't see them being that couple.
They're that couple.
I
She
think
has an
they're the-
attitude every day about
No,
something.
no.
You left the milk out, Nate. F you. Like, come on. Like, she's crazy. I don't know.
Desola, you are so wrong about that.
I'm not.
I think they are not that couple. There's
I don't think
no
it's him.
way.
I think it's her.
I don't think they're like that at all. Like, if anything, I almost see in the future A² being like that.
So real
I see-
quick. She says she doesn't think they're like that at all, right? But they've been on the honeymoon for 4 days. Nate already said he didn't want to be with her, and then she said she didn't want to be with him. 4 days. They're not the couple.
Okay, all right. Touche. I was
saying,
surprised to hear
they're
them
not
say
that couple?
Them being, I was surprised about that. But I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that yet.
My points are all proven here. I'm not saying anything that's like
Yeah, your perception is wonderful.
Sorry.
I love it.
It's not perception.
Don't apologize for your perspective, what you see.
Nick in the chat says, too
That
bad
was a sorry,
they're
not
locked
sorry,
in.
not a real sorry.
Yeah, too bad they're locked in. Everyone's locked in.
What do they think about like everything that's going on right now?
I can't wait to respond back on YouTube to these.
Everybody's been saying that they've been loving Pastor Cal's advice, and that they were. Winnie Paul was actually asking Nick in the chat what experts helped give him the best advice and help him grow in the season. And Nick said, getting in the normal day to day will be the true test for all these couples.
Someone's in there that was on the show.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick from last season said Pastor Cal's bluntness and Rachel's unbiased advice. And then Nancy Kaufman said a couple things. So they're just talking about nothing specific. It was kind of back and forth to what we were talking about.
But you know what, too, on this, what keeps happening, the experts keep coming in and speaking about it in almost like retrospect. So that's different, too. They're talking about, do you notice that what they bring up, they're like, what Nate did and what Sheila did, what Dana did, and Cody. And I was just like, wow, that's different. It's like they're bringing them in after and recording it. Like, it's not, I thought that was so, again, I pay attention to weird things like that, but I was very shocked to see that. And I was like, well, I hope you're giving coaching advice during the show, because that's what they need. Like, they need it during the show. But Pastor Cal is more involved with this. And you know, I like that he owns. He said that what Nate said to Sheila was like, I don't remember what he said, but it was like.
He said,
that was.
But some would be.
Oh, what was it?
Some would. Kind of like asinine, like a synonym for that.
Okay. Regardless, I think it's good that Pastor Cal's super involved, like 110%.
Do you like how he just took Sheila's side immediately without hearing Nate's side?
I don't think he did that. I don't think it was a matter. I think in the moment, whoever you're talking to, you're obviously engaging in how they feel, accepting their feelings, and then giving them advice like you're stronger than.
And you know what I loved about it also though?
What?
She calls him the one time Nate says something to her after she said all that crap. She calls him crying, saying, "Can you believe what Nate said to me?" But she didn't tell him all the rude things she said to him.
See, I don't like when people don't tell the full story.
I'm just saying.
I don't like when people don't tell the full story. I didn't catch that, but I think telling both sides of the story is very important for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's almost time to wrap it up. So let's go ahead and get into some predictions.
Shall we?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Tessa, we're going to start with you. You're looking absolutely clairvoyant this evening.
Wow. All right. Well, Cody and Danielle, going back to my first prediction, which was I saw Nate and Sheila and A Squared staying together and not Cody and Danielle, I'm going to stick to that prediction at this moment. I do see more problems with A Squared when they get back to Chicago and the families get involved. I think things will get better for the other two couples because they've been kind of on the flip side of everything and having those moments now. So I think when they adjust to normal life, it'll kind of take that awkward pressure off of them where they're spending like so much time together. Those are my main ones, kind of general, but that's all I have today.
Great. Ally.
I'm just going to say that I think we will see a different side of Cody and Danielle once they get into their normal routines. I mean, I'm hoping so, but I do see that happening for them. I think that they're going to get more, it's going to be less awkward. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad that Cody did speak to the truth of like, something is not flowing. So I thought that was great. And the fact that we've had a piece of truth in just the first 4 days, I think is going to be telling of what could possibly happen in their relationship. Because if he's open to talk that openly about how he's feeling, then I think we'll have good signs there. And then with Nate and Sheila, I mean, so I'm still thinking, I really think we're going to have a 3 for 3 at the end of the season. Obviously, I can't speak too much now because we're not even halfway through. But, like, I do see the signs of them all making this work because I do see that every single one of them, whether they're trying to work together right now, they all separately, individually want to make this marriage work. So I think it's just a matter of if they're going to set their differences aside and really, really immerse themselves in this experiment. Because that's what it's an experiment, you know what I mean? And they say that, and they're all aware that this is really awkward. So I think it's just a matter of like putting certain things out of your mind and realizing where you are at the moment. And if they can do that, I really think they could all make this work.
Wonderful.
I like that. That was a nice way you put that.
Yeah.
It really was. I was very attentive.
Beautiful,
like, oh yeah,
Ally.
what's
Really?
next?
Thank you guys. Thank you.
And the award goes to. All right, so I still love Anthony and Ashley. I think they're great. Yeah. You made a point that they're gonna probably face more trials and tribulations. I agree with that because I think that Ashley's sister is gonna be a big deal. And Anthony brought up multiple times about outside sources ruining things. So seems like he's had history with that, and he doesn't want that to be another situation in his relationship, which it will be, being that he does have issues with that, you know. So I think that will happen, but I think that they're still strong, and I love them, and I hope that they make it and get like a spin-off one day and like have all their kids and everything that they want.
Big Italian family.
Yeah. I really do think that Danielle and Cody can work only because they both are trying.
Yeah.
And they're obviously both trying. You know what I mean? Even though Danielle might say things we don't agree with, even though Cody might, well, he hasn't really done anything. But, you know, even though there might be certain differences, I feel like they can work just because they seem like they want to work.
Yeah.
When it comes to Nate and Sheila, you already know what I think. I don't think that one's going to work because there's one side that's really trying. Nate, who's really trying, being very like humble and saying, okay, I'm sorry, even when he probably knows he doesn't need to say sorry. Then he has the other side forcing a lot of things and being very, you know. So I don't think that one's going to work, but you never know.
Gotcha.
All right, my predictions. I think we're going to have a trifecta. So I do think all three of the couples are going to work. I think A Squared is going to go home, and I think Anthony is actually going to want the sister to come in more to the conversation to get her on his side, so you know she can actually get some stuff into Ashley. I think Nate and Sheila are going to be phenomenal, especially once she moves in with Nate and is as kind of the dynamic of the baby brother is going to be there. And I think Danielle and Cody are going to have amazing sex and be very fit together, and I think we're going to see that in the next episode.
Be very fit together?
Cody, I hope you initiate. I hope you initiate in that next one, and if not, Danielle, I hope you initiate, because I think it's going to be a really good dynamic. So those are my predictions. Yes, Ally.
Amazing. Really quick, we've got a prediction in the chat from Winnie Paul, and her prediction is that Lauren, Ashley's sister, is going to stir up trouble for Anthony and Ashley. So it's contrary to what you were saying. Yeah. And then she also thinks that Nate and Sheila will try to get back on track, but the brother living with them will become an issue.
I agree.
Nope, I disagree.
I agree with you too.
I disagree. What's her name, Winnie? Is that her name?
Winnie Paul.
Winnie Paul, we love your predictions. I'm thinking that they're not right, but we definitely love that your
Winnie Paul,
participation.
I think that your prediction about Sheila and the brother is 100% correct. I forgot to bring that up. I'm glad you did.
Here's what else we know. It is time to shut it down. So on that note, let's wrap it up. Thanks for participating in the conversation on the After Show. Tessa, let us know and let everyone else know where they can find you.
You guys can find me on all social media at Tessa_Cevaal.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at AllieGirl. And if you're interested in any other after shows, you can actually watch me on Sundays on Once Upon a Time for the season finale. And it's a 2-hour special, so you won't want to miss it.
That was a Desola.
Shameless plug. I like that. You can find me everywhere at Desola_B. Make sure to find me, follow me, all that good stuff. And I want to say, couples out there, I like you. Don't worry. Don't take it personal. Sheila and Nate, and none of you guys. I like you.
You can find me, Heather Yerrid, on Instagram and Twitter at Heather Yerrid. You don't have to follow me. You don't even have to talk to me. And I don't care if you watch any of my shows. Just watch the Married at First Sight After Show, because it's phenomenal. And all of us are too. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Tweet us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.